Hello friends, welcome to Apex Chess Academy. Today's topic is space advantage. Yes, we know that space is very important in chess, right? Okay, today we'll try to understand this topic with the help of one of my students' game whose rating is around 1750 probably, when he was played this game in probably Mumbai Mayor's Cup in 2016, right? Okay, so we'll try to understand this concept. Let's start with the game. C4, E6. Okay, my student's repertoire was Dutch and French, so he played the move e6 against c4. But okay, my recommendation here is direct f5 or direct e5 for the Dutch player, because here if you are playing e6 on move number 1 and then on move number 2 if you are playing f5, basically you are losing one tempo if opponent is not playing d4. For example, if you are playing direct c4 f5 g3 knight f6 bishop g2, now black can simply play d6, and if someone plays d3 then you can play e5, and if d4 then e6, and you transpose into the classical Dutch here. Okay, so after c4 my student played e6, and then I introduced this concept to him. Okay, so now after g3 f5 bishop g2 knight f6, and now if someone plays knight f3 here, then you can see you have to play bishop e7 castle castle, and after d3 black has to play d6 and e5, and you are losing one tempo. But okay, his argument was little bit correct. I mean, he was thinking about expecting knight c3 in fact, and then his idea was just to play bishop b4 first before playing d6 and e5. So in that way he is correct. But if white starts with the tricky knight f3 model, then you do not have the luxury of playing bishop b4 and bishop into c3. So you are losing one tempo with the precise model. Okay, so here in game knight c3 was played, and then his concept is right in such case. So now he played bishop b4, queen c2, and now okay, here I think black can simply wait and just play castle, and next move whenever white force black to take on c3 with a3, then only will take. But okay, here he directly took on c3, queen into c3, and now d6. And probably white can just play d4 here, and that looks better to me. Excuse me. So here d3 was played, now e5, and now black uh, basically justifies this whole stuff because black simply wasted one move in order to just exchange his bishop with bishop b4 bishop to c3. Now he's playing d6 and d5. Okay, now white simply gains space with the move b4, short castle, and here I would prefer knight f3 if I am playing as white, because after knight f3 castle, normally people are afraid of attack like just f4, queen e8, queen h4, but still I believe that knight f3 should have been tried. But in game e3 was played. This I particularly say that in such kind of position, if you play e3 here, this bishop on c1 is basically very bad, and that's why I don't like this. Now here black has few ideas. Okay, you can just directly play queen e8 and this f4 idea, or you can just play for this e4 plan. Now f4 is basically black is just try to launch an attack with the move f4, which is based on some tactical stuff. If you play e4, this is very positional idea, because basically you are just trying to close the position, because white has bishop pair, right? So it's ideal to close the position with the move e4, right? So here e4 is one another good idea, and the third idea, you just first eliminate your bad rook on a8 with the move a5. Okay, and then try to play e4. Yeah, so that looks great. So here he played a5, now a3. And now in game, my student played queen e8 here. Yeah, so this idea is also very logical. So just I'm first quickly go through the game with the move queen e8 on move number 10, and then we'll come back how you can play one. The another way of thinking, right? So okay, this queen e8, knight e2, ab, rook into rook, queen into rook, and now knight a6. And after bishop d2, he played f4. And still, black's position looks very good. And after ef, we just play ef. And if black plays 15th move gf4, you can simply play queen g6. And now you're attacking the bishop. And if you defend the bishop with the rook g1, we can simply take on d3. And still, black has a decent advantage, right? So this is one good way to play. That's what my student has played. And the another good idea, instead of queen e8, is just to play a positional chess. And just we are gaining space because we have knights, we can just close the position with the move e4. And we are just seeking for the maneuvering like just knight this on knight e5, and we are trying to put our knight on d3. And of course, de4 only helps us because which simply improve our bishop on c8. And d4 means we can simply take a b4, rook into rook, queen into, and we can simply close the bishop on c1 with the move d5. Right, so 11th move d5 of course won't help white. And if white goes for bishop b2, black can simply play knight b7. Again, d4 means you can simply play d5 or even knight b6 followed by d5 and then just knight c4. And whenever white takes on d5, you can simply play knight d5 and the bishop on b2 remains bad, right? So this is a very good idea to play e4. Especially you can get such kind of position from the Grand Prix or even from Dutch, right? So after knight b7, let's say if knight e2, we can just go for knight to e5. And again, d4 is not good because of knight d3, knight c1, that looks very passive, and still we can undermine this pawn chain with the move bishop e6. And let's say the only good idea here is knight f4, and here we can just play g5. This is very crushing. Okay, so I simply uh, played g5, but okay, now just try to find out the consequences of this move, what happened next, which is a force move for white, and how it will proceed after this. Okay, so after g5, okay, you can pause the video if you want, right? So after g5, here you cannot move this knight because otherwise simple knight d3 is coming. And if you play d4 for example here, then I'll play ab again. So I'm just eliminating both rooks. So just AB, rook into rook, bishop into. And now here it's possible to start with some passive moves. But I personally believe that here, okay, again, you just pause the video and try to find out the best move. Okay. Okay, hope everyone got the correct move. So here the correct move is just knight f3 check. And after knight f3 check, because we just want to improve or control over the light squares, so we are just giving this check knight f3. Now bishop into f3, e into f3, and now again the knight on f4 is hanging. So you have to play that knight somewhere. If you play knight d5, we can simply play knight into d5, c d5, and then again your bishop on a1 is just like a spectator, right? So knight d3 should have been tried, and again just find out the best move as black. Okay, so again we should keep an eye on this a1 bishop. This bishop is still bad, and we should not allow white's d5. If you allow d5, that bishop becomes monster, right? So instead we can simply play d5, and that we just simply keep that bishop bad. Of course, by playing this, we are weakening our e5 square. But in return, we are just keeping this bishop bad and will improve the prospects for our knight and for the bishop. We'll see how, right? So d5, which is a very strong move, and here of course cd5 is simply made by knight d5. If someone plays h4 here, and now okay, this is the only way to undermine my g5 idea. Otherwise, if you won't undermine this pawn, I'll simply play knight e4 and then f4 and I'll do whatever I want, right? So h4 is the only correct idea because white's king is still in center, so you can just play h4 and try to exploit my weak king side. So here I'll start with knight e4, queen c2, and now this is basically another crucial point. So here you can just again pause the video and take enough time to find out the correct move. Okay, guys, I think this is the critical point of this whole analysis. And here, black can simply play f4. Now, what's the point? Basically, black simply wants to improve his bad light square bishop. So after f4, now if you take with the hg5, I can simply play f into e3 and your position will collapse after f e3, queen g5, g3 and e3 both pawns are weak. Maybe f2 might be a threat at some point. So of course this is bad. So hg5 is not possible. If someone plays ef4, we can simply play queen e7. That is a discover check. And if you play your king somewhere like here, king d1, you can simply play bishop f5. And probably, if I'm not sure, what if king f1? If king f1, I think you can simply play g4 maybe, or even some interesting stuff is also there. But okay, I think this bishop f5 or just simply g4 followed by bishop f5, that looks great. Even you can just think about dc4 in future, where after bishop f5, even this knight d2 idea is there after dc4, or even you can just simply play c6 and keep this bishop very active on f5. This is so-called a virtual pawn sacrifice. Okay, it's a pawn sacrifice, but for short period of time. I mean, you are just improving your pieces, like your bishop is on f5, which is a great piece, and then you have lots of discover threads, lots of light squares are weak for the rest of the game. So here king f1 is still not good. And if someone plays say g into f4, okay, still we can just continue our idea. We just play g4. Okay, white has extra pawn, but our pawn on g4 is very strong and we are just threatening g3 at some point. We are preparing bishop f5 again on next move, and still his bishop on e1 is bad. If someone plays cd5 here, it won't change much. We just play queen into d5. If someone plays here, let's say queen b3 for example, here we can simply play rook e8, and now we are threatening g3 once again, where basically this e3 pawn remains weak. For example, here if you play c5, I'll just play g3. And of course, fg3 means just knight g3, rook e3, and position is collapsed. If someone plays cd5, you still play g3. Even after this d6 check, you just play king f8. And after fg3, just knight g3, and again next move rook e3, you want just knight h1, lots of threats. Instead of 22nd number 22nd number of move queen b3, instead of that, let's say if someone goes for knight e5, that looks tremendous, right? That knight on e5 is a very strong outpost. Yes, it's right, but still we can simply go for g3. And after say if knight f3, we can just play f into g2, and king f1 means knight g3. And after say g3, if white goes for fg3, you can simply play f2 check. And here does not matter what you are playing. King f1 means knight g3, and if you are playing king d1, then again a very beautiful stunning move. Again, you can just find out if you want. Okay, it's bishop h3, and again next move you're just making queen, and you can't take on h3. So it does not matter what you're playing. Next move I'm just playing f1 queen, right? So knight e5 on move number 22nd, still not working. Okay, if someone plays a normal move like bishop b2, I can simply play bishop f5, and you are not able to improve your bishop while my bishop on f5 is very strong. Next move again rook e8, maybe g3 at some point, and still it's very strong. Okay. Um, so basically here the threat is bishop f5 and g3, bishop f5, rook e8 and g3. So sometimes direct g3. So here this kind of position, this kind of pawn sacrifice is basically very good. You are gaining space, you are gaining space for your pieces, you are achieving a transit square for your pieces. So basically it's necessary to occupy the f5 square for your bishop, and that's why here on move number 20, the f4 move, which is really beautiful. So f4 just takes and g4, and next move is bishop f5, rook e8, g3. Okay, if someone goes for h5 here, we just simply play rook e8, and if knight c5, we just play bishop f5. And does not matter even if you eliminate this knights and you are entering into opposite color bishop, but still always remember, when you are playing with the opposite color bishop in a middle game, it is always good for attacker. Okay, so this is our separate topic, separate theme that we'll cover in our future videos as well. Okay, but here you can see the position was complete different, where we are just trying to squeeze white where he has bishop pair, so we are just trying to squeeze with e4, and we are just trying to close these bishops, and we are gaining very good square for our knight with knight b on knight e5, and then we'll try to play knight d3. And even after say knight e2, knight f4 with the best defense, still we are playing g5, and still we have very beautiful position. And particularly on move number 20, how we gain space with f4 followed by g4, bishop f5, and still we have crushing attack, right? So hope you enjoyed this video of space advantage. Okay, so how to attack this, which is a separate uh, concept, attacking with the opposite color bishop, that will cover in our future theme. And my next video is based on King's Gambit. Basically, I am a big fan of King's Gambit. I I played King's Gambit for from 2000 probably 4 to 5 up to 2013, and probably I played almost 40 games in King's Gambit, and my score is almost 37 out of 40. And the three games I lost, which is also basically uh, due to my mistake, not about the opening mistake, right? So I'll show one of my game uh, in King's Gambit. But okay, before showing my game, I would just love to show my inspiration, the game from which I inspired to play the King's Gambit. So don't forget to watch my next video based on King's Gambit, my inspiration, the Morpheus game. Okay, so stay tuned for my future videos. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, friends.